Mr. CFO, Mr. Manager, who wants to take it?
I'll start. Thank you, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. This is our third budget workshop. Today, we're going to conclude with our departments. We're going to have Building Department present, and then we'll have our CIP, not including the Water Department. It's the citywide non-water CIP fund. So, having said that,
We have a question.
I just want to interrupt for a second. Can we have a moment of silence for Antonio Ortega?
Yes, we
For
can.
both employees.
And both, yes, the other employee as well.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, please, everybody, a moment of silence for our employees who no longer are here. Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. That was very nice.
thank you, Commissioner. It has been a very difficult and long week for the city and for the team. So appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready to roll.
Yep.
Okay, Danny,
Rock and roll.
Building Department, you're up.
Okay.
Mr. Ozunya,
Good afternoon,
good afternoon.
commissioners and city manager and everyone. Thank you for allowing me to present today the most exciting budget presentation of all.
Oh, we're looking forward to it. Make it sound like that.
Okay. So, can you roll it? Oh, thank you. Okay. You got it. Oh, they got it right there. Okay, thank you. There we go. Okay. Since I'm been here 13 years, so you guys already heard me to talk about my department. So, anyways, the building department, as you know, provides supervision and construction activities, acceptance of the building permit applications, issuing of all buildings and trade permits, verification of compliance with the Florida Building Code, and other codes, city ordinance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is our organizational chart at this moment. As you see, building official, myself, under the supervision of the assistant city manager, Marlene Monestein. Okay, and then pretty much we have 23 employees, and as you see, and you got all the technical part of it, which is all the chief mechanical, plumbing, electrical, structure and building, and then the administration part, in which we have the permit clerks and the aides, the administration aides. If you don't have any question about it, the only
Yeah, before you go on, Daniel, the two positions that you have vacant, or you have three, actually, are you looking to fill them? What's going on?
Okay, we are in the process to do that. Okay, we've been trying to, for the last 2 years, to get a electrical inspector, a full-time electrical inspector, and it's been a major headache.
So you're having trouble?
Yeah, it's not only myself or the city of North Miami Beach. We are suffering to get inspectors. So what we do, we steal it from each other. I'm being blessed enough to get a couple of inspectors that live in North Miami Beach, so that assured, that they're going to stay with us. But I'm searching for an electrical inspector in plan review.
Thank you.
And then we are reclassifying something else, but I'll let you know in another. Okay.
Mr. Sue?
Yes. You have another one?
I do.
Yes.
So I know that we have our online permit application system, right? Does that help you in alleviating and leaving some of these vacant, or do they not help at all?
We are adjusting. Well, that is part of my presentation on one of the slides, but anyway, since we are already full-time online and we all digital, we adjusting with our stuff. Things that we used to do one way, now we do it another way, and we need to figure it out, if we might not need anybody else, but we could. So we're switching from doing some kind of work to another one. But so far, so good. I can tell you that much.
Are you more efficient now?
Yeah, definitely. And it's more efficient for the public, too.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, like you heard it before, at the beginning, you start getting some complaints.
Yeah.
And but we told them that it's going to get worse and then getting better.
Yeah.
And it did. And it's every day it's getting better, So we started with a few permits online. Now we are completely 100% online.
Wow.
We did some digital process. We are completely digital now. They can call for inspection on online too. So like I said, it's a process. We're working, but at this moment, I don't. Besides those positions that I already mentioned, I don't see the need, but it could be.
So this
Thank
is
God we
just
have the
in
money.
case. What?
Thank God we have the money.
Do we? Okay. All right, that's it.
I have a comment.
Commissioner Smuckler.
So I was at a conference like 2 weeks ago already, and I met with, I think it was some people from the Sanibel, that they had a major,
From where?
Sanibel.
Sanibel. Okay.
I think it was there that they had a really bad hurricane. They were talking about how they were just getting hundreds and hundreds of permit applications, and that the roofers were just, not because they wanted to do it illegally or because they didn't have licenses, the roofers were just doing the work because it needed to be done without the licensing. So I'm just wondering if our city has we're never having a hurricane here, it's going to miss us and go somewhere else. But is there like a plan B, let's say, or plan A for that matter, in case of an emergency?
Yes, there's. Remember one thing, we are on we are 33 municipalities in Dade County.
34.
And we work 32, and we work together. We work together, and so whenever we need assistance, we will do that. Mm-hmm. Now that you mentioned Sanibel in that area, that's one of the reasons why we cannot get inspectors, because they're all going to that side, west side of Florida, and but what every municipality does in those cases is that we issue emergency permit. Mm-hmm. So all that process that we're doing right now, we're gonna do, if it's something that is emergency, we're gonna allow them to do the work and then provide them with the paperwork later on. Okay. So that's normally the way we function. And like I said, if the area affected is this way or the east, we're going to ask the west to help us, right. And the other way around, Right. But yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, continue.
Okay, if you see in the slides, that's pretty much our permitting process. That's the way, that we function from the beginning to the end. When a person comes in and apply for the permit, how we review it, how they apply, we review it, we either approve it or deny it, we make the comments, and then when we issue the permit, they start calling for the inspection until it's finalized. So if you guys don't have any question about that process.
So as far as you're concerned now, everybody submitting a permit going inside, coming to our store, they're all going digital now?
Yes, but no, we didn't stop the normal process. So if you don't want to do it digital, you can still
You can do it without it, but your preference now is digital.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. We start talking about before about the e-permitting, so the electronic permitting, and so we are at full capacity. So at this moment, we do everything online, we do everything digital, and pretty much what is the slides telling you is how how many more or less permits we have over the year. The digital plan review, we use Project Dots, so we review the plans digitally too. And the next slide is to show you at this moment pretty much all the major projects that we have in our city. The first one, as you notice, is Aura Apartments. Those are the ones that are right there next to the Spanish monastery.
Right.
We already issued a TCO for the first floor to the fourth floor. And I have a meeting yesterday with Alan Mackin, who is the owner of the commercial properties. So they're going to start applying for those permit too. So so probably they're going to start renting those apartments soon. Then we have Coya Bay, which is already CO. The Yeshiva Torres Demos is located right behind Dennis. So let's divide the bay. It's under construction, and Sky Garden is only on the permit application. That's the one on 19th Avenue. Netsu is it's under construction at the moment, which is located in Highland Village. And last one, but is the Citadel, which is the new construction right there in 19th Avenue.
Right.
Okay. Then this one's going to show you our budget comparison between the current year and our proposal for next year. If you notice it, it's pretty much the same. Our budget and the full-time employees is 23. We have what we already spoke about the reclassification. What I'm doing is if you in this second part where it says position reclassification, I have at this moment Mr. Francisco Ortiz, who is the chief building inspector, and he got his license as building official. So I'm reclassifying that. I'm not opening another position. I just reclassifying that position so he can be the assistant building official / chief building inspector. And in the second one, I already mentioned it. We are in search to look for an electrical and plan reviewer. Okay, let's go to the exciting part of it. Okay, no, this one is the best part. Okay, so as we know, we're going to talk about now of the budget reserve and the compliance remedy for that reserve that we have that we need to spend one way or another. Okay, in conjunction with the finance department, the city manager, procurement, we've been working and figuring out the best way so we can have some remedy for that. And that's the building department proposal. And the first one is a permit rebate. We proposing to have a permit rebate of $1 million at least. So what does that mean? Is we're going to work out with the legal department and the financial department so we can create some kind of fee that we can waive for our community, for those people who actually own the property, not for the investors. So when we have a homeowner who comes and apply for a driveway, for the roofing, things like that, what we're proposing is to waive the fees up to $1 million. Then another way that we're going to, we already
Hold on one second.
Yes, sir.
Is this what I proposed? This is different. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. So that's one of the remedies. We ordered 2 vehicles. Then we're going to work also with Marlene Monestein and create a workforce apprenticeship. And we're trying to spend around $250,000 for that. And the CIP improvement, construction technology that we're going to need, and the continual education and training. So pretty much, if you put all that together, it's going to be more or less around $2 million, $2.5 million.
Can you, oh,
Through the chair, I wanted to, I know I had spoken to our previous city manager about doing some sort of amnesty. I'm assuming that's what the $1 million is. The initial reserve was 16 million at one point. That was conversation was being floated around, and I think we need a better snapshot of where the reserve was at its max and how it's come down to just a pocket of that 2 million being expended how you are proposing. But there was a bigger amount, and I think from a forensic standpoint, we probably need to see a better snapshot of that.
Yes, I guess, you guys can sit down with the city manager's office and finance, and they can, but pretty much, the building department bought the PSA building. So that's part of the money.
Hold on one second. You guys have an answer?
Thank you, Commissioners. That's a good question. Last commission meeting, there was a memo attached to the budget presentation. It shows some chronological timeline of what we started. I looked at the reserve from last year was $13 million. And then there is a table that shows it currently is at $8 million as of end of fiscal year.
Okay, so if I can just continue, I had other questions as well. I wanted to wait till you got to the end, but I think that's a good place for us to kind of also share our ideas. I think this is a great blueprint of how we can spend, and I think, if there's 8 million left, and this is only accounting for 2, what are some other creative ways? Because I know your fund can only be spent on particular items pertaining to your operation. So if there's more of a framework from the legal perspective that we can get that kind of highlights what we can spend it on, what we can't, that can give us, the commission, more input into what you've already presented as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, we open to suggestions, just like I did, the moment that it was presented to me, we reached right away to the city manager's department, the finance department, the legal department, so we can legally find a way to give to the community and be legal.
And since I wanted to also, because when I initially had asked our previous manager about fee waivers, like you mentioned, they would have to own the home, and I guess all those other parameters the city will basically set up, right, as it relates to who qualifies for it, how they can apply, how many times can they apply for it, depending on how many permits they may need in the future, if there's a cap per household, et cetera. I'm pretty sure those are the parameters that you all eventually will set up, right?
Correct. Like I said, that's we are presenting what we have in mind, and then it's going to be a work on different departments to put it all together. The building department has the money, but I need the legal department to help me do it in a legal way.
Right.
I'm gonna need the finance department to let me know also that we're not doing something improper. We need to.
Danielle?
One more question. So the Sky Garden, I know when you drive around, it has like a bankruptcy sign on the parameter of it. Has the ownership changed? How is that? Because I see it's on the list with owner granted extension. Does that affect the permits or?
Not that I'm aware of. I have a meeting with the owner of the property like a month ago, And if I'm not wrong, I gave it to September 17 or something like that. And the reason why, because he said he's going to have to go to court, so he's going to get the resolution. The court meeting is on September the 3rd,
Okay,
but he's going to sit down with us and tell me what's going on.
thank you.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Mackenzie Florimond's here. Go ahead,
How
Danny.
you doing, sir?
I'm sorry, Lynn. Commissioner Sue.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes, so I know Commissioner Jean was touching on this just now, and I remember just now in your presentation, you mentioned that the $1 million is only going back to residents? Is that
Well,
correct?
that's our
Plan?
plan first. It might change, but the thinking behind it was, that those people who actually reside in North Miami Beach and helping those low-income old people, things like that. That's the first idea. Later on, first of all, like I said, the legal department is going to advise us if that's possible and how we can do it properly and in a legal way. But that's our first. That's the first idea.
Okay, thank you. A question to the city attorney. What are some of the ways that we can actually put this to good use? And is it okay to not maybe do the rebates or do the permit rebates for non-commercial? I mean, for commercial? Does that?
I'm not sure I completely.
Okay, so
understand
he
your
said that
question.
he was going to do a permit rebate for the residential properties.
Yes.
Preferably maybe homestead or something, so on and so
Yes,
forth.
I heard that.
Now, is that okay, that we are not doing it for all properties in North Miami Beach? Is that,
Well, okay,
I can answer it.
thank you.
You have to come up with a formula first. So you got to start with one and then expand it to more. So yes, they're starting with the residential. It's a first step. If we tell them to go to the commercial, then they'll go to the commercial and do it.
okay?
Also, the legal
And-
constraints of that.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Jean?
It's mostly the legal constraint. Can it be
Okay,
done?
well, let me answer it this way then. First of all, there's not a yes or no answer to that. There's like a lot of rules. They govern in different ways. There are laws that are different things. So every part of it may be subject to a different answer. But generally speaking, this is not to say, yeah, rush in and do it, because there are not just can you do it, but how you do it is very significant in that answer. But the general rule is you cannot treat similarly situated properties differently. But if there is some measure of analysis that you're treating a certain kind of property in a certain way, as long as you're consistent for that category, generally, yes, unless there's some rule that says you can never do this, which in this case, I'm not aware of such a rule. So yes, you can treat residential in one way and commercial differently in many circumstances, but you can't, again, subject to the fine print, which is on all of these things. But what you can't do is take like two properties that are both residential, that are similar in size, that have the same zoning, like across the street from each other, and treat them differently. You have to, if they're similarly situated, if they're in a particular category, you have to treat them equally, you have to treat them the same. But just like you can treat a single family different than a high-rise, you can also treat commercial properties, generally speaking, differently, because the rules are a little complicated, but they involve, at one level, you apply the rational basis test, And on another level, you apply, is there a compelling argument? So for some things, you can only do it if there's absolutely a compelling argument. But for another level of analysis, as long as there is a rational basis for what you're doing, the discretion that's given to you as commissioners will not be disturbed unless you abuse your discretion.
Okay. And I also have another question. I know that there are a lot of buildings, a lot of condo buildings in our city right now that are due for a 40-year, 50-year recertification. I'm wondering if part of that is there a way that we can support these buildings and help alleviate some of their expenses inside of like permitting and whatnot?
Well,
Now,
go ahead.
two parts to the question. So, I mean, like I'm thinking of situations in, like our famous building here on the Crestview building, right? I know that there are a lot of seniors there. They have been paying rent for the past 3.5 years and their mortgage. I'm wondering if like there's some ways that we can do something to alleviate and help the residents out inside of all of that. So now.
Right, but that, Lynn, is to the manager.
Oh,
You
to the
tell
manager.
the manager,
Sorry.
listen, we're interested in doing something for that development, and then he looks into it for us and comes back to, and then we approve it.
But I also want, I mean, like, Mr. Manager, through the chair. So, Mr. Manager, what I'm thinking of is there's a lot of these buildings. I think there's like a three something, that they also have issues that are going on right now.
trees.
Tall trees, thank you. I know it's like 2 T's somewhere. So, yeah, I'm thinking about these condo buildings that have issues and seeing if we can apply some of this surplus that we have into some use that will actually help rebate and give something back to the community and the residents who have been paying into our tax base.
You want me to answer?
No, there's no answer. We were going to look into what you're requesting and see if that's a possibility and how we can spread it. I say increase this type of rebate program to what you're, to include what you're requesting.
Okay, by when do you think we will have some kind of a draft?
Well, we'll work together, get with legal. We got to find out what's possible, what's not possible. I'm off the top of my head,
You
I can't
think
give
by
you a
the end of
draft,
the
but it will
month?
be through the budget process.
Hold on one second. In asking that request from the manager, okay, think about what you're asking. If you're asking for something for Crestview, and then you're going to ask for something for Tall Trees, then what happens from the Gateway not getting it?
Oh, no, I'm asking for all the condos in that
So
age group, yeah.
Okay.
That are like 40, 50, approaching 55 years, to see if there's anything that could be done for them in terms
So
of
he'll
like
look
maybe.
into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the legality has to go through the city attorney and.
Oh, it has to go from there to there.
Right, uh-huh. Okay, great, yeah, wonderful. Maybe September 1st, I'll hear something back?
September 1st.
Of this year? Well, we do have $8 million to manage, right? I mean, if we don't do that, we could easily get ourselves into a
Let
lawsuit.
Danny continue.
Okie dokie. So let's go now to our budget requests. And so I'm requesting, as a billing official and head of my department, to an employee bonus and salary increase, which include a 5% bonus one time, and the total amount will be $84,761 with 26 cents. And I also are presenting and asking for a 15% in pay increase, totaling an estimated of $254,000 with 283.78 cents. That's the total amount for as an increase for my whole department. As you said in the next paragraph, that will include the whole billing department, which includes bargaining position and no bargaining position. So depending on the potential of the contract negotiation and assessment of potential pay, comprehension by the HR and negotiation with the union for sure.
Let the record show that Commissioner Smith is here.
Noted.
55 minutes it took me to get from my house. Thank you, sorry.
Crazy traffic out there.
No, there, actually, 2 lanes are closed on the right side, 2. And you had, so,
Well, thank you
No,
for
but
still making it.
it's just impossible to get anywhere from anywhere today, Commissioner.
Go ahead, Danny.
thank you.
Okay, so then after that, additional, like I said, there's another initiative that we have in our department. We had the fit study, the reevaluation of the department fees. That's why we hired Rafaelis for a consultation, and the building department memorandum, and that's pretty much it, unless that you guys have some questions.
I did have some questions through the chair.
go ahead.
I want to thank you for your service. I think 13 years is a long time.
Thank you.
Very complicated process to help residential, commercial get compliant. It's a tough process, so I want to thank you. The 15% is all across the board for all of the positions, all in general. I was also, as we're talking about different categories that we can look into, sustainability. I know Commissioner Sue have mentioned in the past, but sustainability as it relates to what rebates our residents can get concerning their homes. So that's another area that we can definitely look into to expand on, like the workforce and the other elements that you've, and also sustainability as it relates to disaster relief. So any areas that we can provide resources to the residents, that would be some of the areas that I would love for you guys to kind of explore as well.
Definitely, but that would be something, that I will have to work it out with the legal department and see if it's how legal. Remember, the building department is an enterprise budget, so we need to be sure that whatever we spend, and anything that we spend the money, we do it legally.
Yeah, I was looking at some cities across the state of Florida that have parallel rebate programs that have similar things of those nature. So obviously, if the state has those, if those cities, particular cities have those programs, that could be something that we can mirror if there's appetite for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Other colleagues have anything? Let me give everybody else a chance. Phyllis, Mackenzie, Fortuna. All right, Lynn.
I'm the default questionnaire. Okay, so first of all, I have a resident sitting here in the room, and I know he was dying to hear this from me. We have these ongoing projects that are, some of them have you have issued a temporary occupancy, right? Certificate of occupancy. And then there's some that you have already issued certificate of occupancy. I would like to propose that through the manager, I would like that 50% of these taxes, 50 is my supposed amount, okay? But I would like to have that, the impact. The city gets impact fees. When Commissioner Smith takes 55 minutes to get from her home to City Hall, she doesn't get an impact fee. So consider the tax reduction an impact fee for the residents in dealing with the traffic that we face every day. So I'd like maybe you can come up with a rule of some sort that if they have been homesteaded for a certain amount of years, I don't know, Mr. Attorney's listening, so I hope that you can all come up with something that we can take the taxes from these multifamilies that are brand new and see if we could do something to refund to the people and help reduce some expenses for them. That's another request from me. I have also, just now, Commissioner, okay. Is the fee study the same fee study and rate study as the water plant? Ooh. Hello?
No, that I'm aware of.
Yeah, Commissioner Sue, the city is conducting 3 fee studies at the same time.
Same company?
Same consultant, correct.
Same consultant?
Building permit analysis is also one of them.
Okay, so there's building permit, water rate,
Impact fees, and then the water and wastewater.
and wastewater. Okay, gotcha.
that?
We're targeting the end of the year, Commissioner Smuckler.
Commissioner Smith?
I just have one, well, there's a lot of thoughts, but when we went online and we streamlined everything, did that add more revenue into your department's pocket?
Not really, and we go by a fee schedule that you guys pass, and it doesn't matter if it's online or.
Well, I was thinking less manpower. I will tell you, you know, when you're a commissioner, you never get the wonderful, you know, thank you and gratitude. You get the complaints. That's what they call about what they have is complaints.
We too.
But of course, and it's not easy. But the thing is that I feel like every department needs to be streamlined a little, only because the budgets just year after year seems to go out of whack. And I agree and concur completely with the commissioner that the public should be getting back something. They're the ones that have to live with the broken sidewalks until we get to it and the bathroom that isn't fixed until we get to it. I just feel that somehow, how are we going to get them the money though? How are we going to let them benefit financially? And the only way to do it is to not spend as much and to try to streamline. And that's why I was asking if there was any money saved by.
There's no, at this moment, any that I'm aware of, any money saved. But what I can tell you is we are a lot more efficient. So we're giving a better service to the community. That's for sure. You know, it's taking less time. You know, you were not here when I was presenting that part of the presentation in which, since we are now 100% online and digital, my staff are shifting from doing one thing to another thing. For example, before I used to have four or five permit clerks in the front. I don't need those four in the front, but now I have two of them in the back because all those online that coming in, we need to review it. So they're not doing it in front right there. Now we have less people coming to the lobby, but we're getting a lot
They still have the work.
of work, yeah.
So that was the part that I wanted to make sure that you looked at.
Yeah.
And I see, I understand.
Okay. Wait, can you wait 1 second?
Sure, no problem.
Just to jump in for a moment, Commissioner Smith, and not to be the voice of big government here, but if residents are experiencing delays, some of which may be because the city is short-staffed on some of these things. I mean, there's always efficiencies, but returning money to the residents may sound wonderful, but if it's because they're having delays, giving money that is needed to operate, I mean, there's always fat, but there's also, you know, bone and sinew. It may actually, they may get a little money, but it may result in further service delays if it means that you're not able to accomplish the things that government is there to accomplish. So
Well, I understand.
know you know that, but
I
it's a
understand it
balancing
completely
act.
because the bottom line to it is even if you give the rebates, that money could have been used to fix sidewalks so they would get maybe less service or less. But one or the other has to be accomplished. We have to show a cleaner, better, efficient run city. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
Because that's the year of conversation. If you listen to any meetings, that's what you heard. So I came in the building department, but that's what's been on my mind throughout the whole budget, is that we have to clean up the city, we have to be more efficient, and we have to start growing up and act like we're responsible for an entire city and all the people and all the businesses that live and work here. So that's why anywhere where the department brings up the efficiency, And because of that, work still has to be done. The work's still coming in. Those women or men have to be in the back to do the work, to accomplish the work. But if the efficiency took over a position, that's where we have to work on that. That's where we have to work on it.
And I don't think you have an argument from anybody.
You don't, but I'd like to see it in action. Thank you so much.
Commissioner John
Thank you.
McKenzie.
I wanted to ask about the salaries. So everything that the salary increase, you said it went through the proper union process or what have you. That comes generally from your funds, right? From your.
That's 100% correct. You know, remember, that's what I mentioned, that the building department is an enterprise fund. So whatever we generate, we use it for our department and
They have to use it in their.
Right.
in our department.
And the efficiency of it all, I think, even with the new programs that you propose, the question is, will your staff be able to sustain those programs? So meaning, when you're adding these different rebates and so forth, the current structure is able to sustain that? Or would you foresee there being more positions needed to sustain the new program?
I don't see the increase in workforce, and just because we propose a permit rebate, or for lack of another word, it's just, you know, we need to get, like Joe says, we gotta find a way, and it's gonna be a work in between different departments, legal department, building department, finance department, city manager, put it all together and find the formula and decide.
Right, but we've been working with formulas for many years. So to Commissioner Smith's point, we're beyond the formulas. That's given, meaning we want to be compliant.
Thank you.
But the execution is the part that we're actually looking for. So to your point, you don't know if there's be more positions needed, but if you're going to add an influx of residents needing rebates and so forth, that's something that I think you should also consider if their staffing is going to be able to sustain it long term. But that leads to my second question about liens, because I've been trying to have this conversation of what are the departments that actually have liens attached to their operations? And I've seen.
You said liens?
Liens, yeah, liens. Does your department have?
No, that's what I wanted to answer the
Yeah.
question right away, because we don't put liens. The only time that my department building department put a lien is when I deem something unsafe and we have to demolish, and so I got to start a process with the county, because we don't have that process here in the city. So it costs us around $1,000. So we put a lien for just to get the hard cuts. So we don't make money out of it.
And then the last thing, for the quote-unquote reserves, from a state standpoint, should we even have any reserves at all? Or is there a percentage that we should have?
I'm not the expertise in that one, but I would say, as a smart person, that we should. Because we don't know, now it's
Mr.
good.
CFO, you want
Right.
to?
Times are good now, but I don't know when it's going to be back.
Danny, let him answer.
Right.
Yes, we looked into it, Commissioner Zahn. The state code says that the building department in the state of Florida is supposed to have a reserve in the average of 4 times their annual operating budget.
Okay. Which will
So,
equate to
which
how much,
equates for us about 2.3 million
Okay.
on average.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Foreman.
Thank you. No, I wasn't going to make a comment, but I'm looking at Danny and I'm thinking 13 years. I think that's something to be said about that, because continuity is key in making sure that we move our department forward, right, when it comes to building. And if you don't have historical value, it's very hard to move a department forward. So the fact that you've been there that long and you're implementing new strategies and we're seeing projects completed, such as Aura or Nexo, and other buildings like the second building in Celeste, those things speak volumes to the work that's being done. So just wanted to say kudos to you and your team and continue the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And final word, Lynn?
So my question was, you said that your item, or you would,
No, I have something in the attorney's office right now trying to come forward.
oh, is it about the building, or?
It's about a process in the building department.
Oh, okay, great. So I think the other thing that I wanted to ask was, this is, I guess, legal as well. If like we have, let's say, a year moratorium for anybody who wants to fix their roof and like free permits and, or permits subsidized by our reserves or something for residents in the city, is that possible?
Remember, what you're asking, those types of things.
No, I mean, I want
we
every,
as a body, say to them to do it, and it gets done.
so shall we say it then?
Well, we don't,
We remember
We're
one
gonna say
thing.
it, we're
This
gonna
is
say
a
it on the,
workshop.
on
We
the,
don't-
on the 9th, right?
We're-
Is that what you're saying?
yes, we would have the ability.
Okay, got it.
Remember one thing, though, when you're reviewing all this. If you're going to give back to residents 50%, and if you're going to not have permitting fees, and if you're going to improve whatever, where's the money coming from?
The
That-
$8 million reserve that we have
Okay.
overage.
But the problem is, we don't know what's coming ahead, so we can't be without some, and if we use the $8 million or half of it, people that are coming to build, they understand there's a permitting fee on a lot of it. You want to make it a little less, that's one thing. You want to reduce it, it's not going to change the fact that we still have to scrutinize each project, we still have to approve whether it's
That's
gonna.
correct.
I mean, it's not going to scrutinize it any further, and they wanted to build here, so they will build here. So if we want to reduce it, it's one thing, but to eliminate it, we have to be very careful with the funds, and then make sure that the funds are used to perform. That's the big thing. I mean, you've been here 13 years, you certainly see the difference.
Do you want to?
No, I mean, I just wanted to make something clear. I believe that the city of Miami has already had a lawsuit with over excess of this reserve fund. And the last thing that we want to do is to keep 4 million and then like only having to be required to hold 2.3 and being sued by it. So that lawsuit is going to cost more than $1.7 million.
But we can use the funds for maybe other issues. Can't you use it to improve the city?
No, it cannot. It's an enterprise fund.
Building
No, in
department
the
is
But I mean, in the building department. I mean, totally in the building department.
They do call these rainy day funds colloquially, but they sometimes are needed for an actual rainy day, because when a hurricane hits, if one comes, and they do, you may find, particularly where federal FEMA support is declining, and there are warning signs that FEMA may not be able to do what it's done in the past, you may find the city is tremendously impacted if a storm strikes us, and there's at least a delay, if not a lack of federal available funds. That's why they call them rainy day, because sometimes it rains a lot.
Mr. Attorney, I believe that building reserve is an enterprise fund. It is not the same as a general fund and cannot be used in a disaster, can it, Mr.
We
CFO?
just said, no, we just said in general, and the point about.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about in general.
Everybody calm down.
Was just said, we just said it,
Joe?
an enterprise fund.
Stop. Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Capital Improvement Program. Erlene McHenry.
Yes.
You have a question?
So to the point about the disasters, if the city itself, if our buildings were to get damaged, would the building department then maybe be able to, or would that totally be separate?
It's very specific.
It would be separate
separate.
too, right?
And I have a question. So that the Keys building, when we bought it, we were supposed to move building into there, right? No, just the building. So that's not happening? So why are we holding on to this building? Can we sell it?
Who are you
It's up
asking?
to you all to decide what you want to do.
So maybe,
Well, the old city manager was looking into getting rid of that building.
so maybe this.
So Andy, do you know anything about it?
I don't want to misspeak, but I think we were looking into like a surplus policy or procedure in order to have some type of procedure in how we eliminate
So
or sell
can
the
limit.
correct, yes.
Okay.
Because every day we're losing more and more money on that property. So I think we should sell it soon, but we can bring this back at some other time.
We have to be careful. We own so little property. The city owns so little property. So you have to be careful when you liquidate. And one thing I want to say was, I think they paid over the appraised value on that property. So I really would like to not make sure we don't sell it at a loss.
And just
Okay.
keep in
Arlene.
mind, those funds would go back to building, and you'd have to figure out how to spend them because we already have excess that we need to spend on the reserve for buildings fund.
Oh.
So the budget has been corrected from where it came, and now it came from the right place, right? Okay, Carleen. CIP.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Attorney, City Clerk, City Manager's Office. Carleen McHenry, Public Works Interim Director. Tonight, I'm going to present the NMB Capital Improvement Program to you, and the portion of the CIP's City CIP program that I will be presenting excludes NMB water and sewer scope. As I mentioned, Public Works is responsible and oversees citywide capital projects, which includes all asset or projects that exceed $5,000. That's what categorizes a capital project for the city. We oversee different things such as design development, permit constructions, site reviews, facility renovations, stormwater management, traffic calming projects, landscaping, stormwater drainage, you name it. Anything that's not water and sewer falls underneath Public Works. The team established a mission as of this year, which is to plan, prioritize, and manage major physical infrastructures for this city, particularly the large-scale investment projects, monitor them very closely with robust project management and fiscal tracking. What you're looking at in the next page sets the tone in terms of the labor resources that are currently available in Public Works, and there are dedicated resources for the CIP program. So the CIP program manager position, we, as of recently, reintroduced that. We reclassified the CIP director position. We have one engineer 2 position. We have an engineering and construction manager, which was a former inspection manager that we reclassified to expand scope to assist a little bit more on the development side. We have one dedicated project manager. We have an engineering coordinator, and we have an assistant to the CIP program manager. Aside from those dedicated staff, we have Public Works administrative, engineering, and technical staff that also was positioned, and some of these positions were reclassified and created to support the CIP program. What I would like to draw your attention to is that the CIP program office, although it consists of 7 positions, it is 42% filled. And the Public Works support staff positions that I've notated that would support your CIP program is 0% filled. So I am pretty much it. We are actively working with HR to recruit. We have conducted a few engineering interviews. We had a strong candidate for project manager, and so we're following up on that. As well, we had a few interviews scheduled in the next 2 weeks for CIP program manager. So hoping to get some good news out of a few of those interview sessions.
That's great.
This slide is designed to share with you the overlap with the resources that we have for operations. The left chart basically shows, as we look at our CIP dollars and how they're allocated for asset owners, we notate Parks and Rec have somewhere around $26 million. Most of the projects are in reference to Park and Rec's projects that are attributed to about $26 million. If we look to the right, Public Works oversees a large portion of the portfolio. So what that necessarily means, the asset owners are not traditionally the project managers. They are not the ones that are completing the constructions. They are not the ones that are setting the tone for project schedules, doing the fiscal tracking, and mitigating the risk. And so it is important to have an established CIP team in Public Works that will oversee the portfolio of projects. Our operations and field managers are project managers as well, and it limits their capabilities for day-to-day operation. The next slide is just a high overview, kind of reverse this presentation from the Public Works presentation and kind of get to the overview, and then we'll talk about in detail what the portfolio looks like. Fiscal year 24-25, 5 positions. The operating expenses for the CIP division was somewhere around $336,000. The CIP portfolio that was adopted was $40,640,915. What we are presenting to you today is a request to add one additional resource in the Public Works CIP division, and that would be a project manager, a senior project manager. We requested a senior fiscal analyst with the Public Works budget presentation a few weeks ago. Those 2 dedicated resources will help us push the portfolio that we're proposing to you today. Prior year's budget approval, we had a carry forward for into fiscal year 26. That would be somewhere around a $31,865,790 portfolio that we're rolling into fiscal year 26. And then we are asking to approve a portfolio of $16,858,000, yielding a total portfolio of $48,723,790. In order to pull such a portfolio, clearly Washington Park is a large portion of this $48 million. With the resolution that was adopted not too long ago for CIP, the CIP general obligation bond clearly is in that number, so it does weigh that number a little bit. It's one of our largest projects. I will go into some of our large projects in a few minutes in a little bit more detail in case you have some Q&A. This slide is to basically just give you a very aerial view or a broader view of what your portfolio looked like by fund sources. We have many different fund sources that makes up our portfolio. We have some remaining ARPA projects that we're closing out. We have the Beautification Impact Fund, building, such as the PSA New Workstation reconfiguration that was approved in fiscal year 25. We have some CRA-funded projects. We have the CITT funds, of course, the general fund. We have local option gas tax funds, stormwater impact fee fund, and then water enterprise. And the water enterprise is here because the projects and purchases fall underneath a scope for Public Works. And so either our fleet manager or our facilities manager oversees those capital purchases and projects, but it will be funded by water. So zooming in now on what you just saw, I'm going to start with the general fund. This slide provides the first 3 column provides what you approved and adopted for fiscal year 25, what we encumbered and what we're carrying forward. The very last gray row on your sheet basically summarizes all of that. So what that says is we are encumbering $668,790 worth of projects, construction, building, non-building infrastructure projects, and we are carrying forward into 26, 29,039. What we are requesting that you adopt is to the general fund, $8,543,333. We've adopted a process, just so you know how we derived at this number, is we've had 2 CIP committee review meetings. Those meetings consist of our city manager, our deputy city manager, assistant city manager, our finance team, and a few of for the large projects, a few of the project managers are in the room. We look at everything from coupling projects for great synergies, risk to the city, assessments that are done, master storm, master plans for the city. So quite a few things are considered in those meetings, and obviously available fund is the last thing. And so in reviewing that, that's how we derived with this list and with the proposal to the general fund. CRA, when we zoom into CRA, we have $1,614,618 worth of projects that were approved in fiscal year 25 that will carry forward into fiscal year 26. Those projects are outlined on this page for you. Additionally, for fiscal year 26, CRA has committed to somewhere in the vicinity of $3,475,000, and that spans from 163rd Street redesign for a bike path, tree plantings, a Centennial Park, ADA sidewalk and ADA upgrades. So there's many different line items there. Wayfinding signs as we prepare for our Centennial. The next fund source that we zoomed into is ARPA. As we close ARPA, pretty much everything's done. There's some residual funds there that we are asking, that we are looking into to see if we can reallocate those into existing POs that were already open in December for the same like purposes. Obviously, as we enter into these projects, sometimes change orders are necessary to remedy. We have a few, we received our WGI pavement assessment. We'll talk about that in a little bit. That pulls us in the direction of additional work to get done, and we're hoping we could use a few of those residual dollars from ARPA. Traffic calming and road improvement. So we zoomed into that for you for fiscal year 26 on the next slide. And we parched that data by fund type. We have our local option gas tax, CITT, general fund, that predominantly will fund the fiscal year 26 projects. The general fund tallies up to be $1.245 million. Just a reminder, the bottom row, the gray row, kind of sums everything for you. The far left gives you the project name and description. In yellow are your fiscal year 26 data. This year, we were tasked to really take a look and have some deep conversations citywide to understand what the long-term needs for the city is. So this was our first pass at putting together a 20-year CIP plan for the city. This plan included a few meetings with all of our department heads, reviewing master plans from sustainability project needs, from master plans, roof replacements, equipment. We put together a 20-year equipment replacement plan, building and construction efforts that are needed, park restoration, anything that falls in a CIP category. We sat with each department head to really zoom in and say, what does the need of NMB look like in order from a CIP perspective as we discuss bonds, as we discuss forward planning for sustainability efforts. And that's what you're looking at on this screen. The 20-year plan tallies up to be $452 million in that proximity. And you're looking at a range from somewhere in the vicinity of $32 million to $90 million annually, year over year. So we summarize a lot of data. We sum that up by type. The question, keep going? Okay.
Question? Anybody have a question?
Keep going?
Okay, continue.
Okay. During the Public Works presentation, there were some questions about KPIs for some of our capital improvement performances. And so we took a few moments to kind of put a few of what the KPIs are for the capital improvement program. So some of the KPIs that we closely monitor with the Smart Sheet application that we introduced, and the Smart Sheet application allows us to do intake citywide. It allows us to score the projects based on the strategic initiatives of the city. It allows us to create a dynamic setting with a large screen with our CIP committee, like we talked about. We had a few of those. But more importantly, do what the city has not done in a very long time, which is create and maintain robust project schedules and develop dashboards. So those KPIs are looking at what % of the projects are completed on time, what % of the projects are completed within the budget that were set, minimizing change orders, what % of the capital funds remaining unspent at the end of the fiscal period, and survey results related to public satisfaction. So working a little bit closely with our communications team to really understand what was the impact of those projects and how did the community feel, and what we can improve on. This is simply a screenshot of what the application looks like. It creates portfolio libraries, which includes schedules, fiscal tracking. For your record, just for your, we also have we've gone live with the dashboard as well as the Washington Park dashboard on our city website. What you're looking at here is we started about a year ago with GIS, integrating our CIP programs into GIS. And what that does is it gives us a heat map of where our projects are by type and who the project manager is. And once you click on it, it kind of gives you that detailed information of what that CIP. We also have specific CIP designated codes for every project that carries through the life of the project with this new application. And also we create project strings, specific project strings that monitors the funds. So when someone says, how much did we spend on a Washington Park? 10 years from now, we'll know how much we spent on a Washington Park project. So those type of things, those robust planning and unique identifiers are critically important as we retain data for the future. I mentioned that we have a dashboard. This is just a view of what that dashboard looks like. The dashboard provides a count by every phase, very, very important to planning, because that helps us identify how much can we actually bring in the next year. And so understanding what % of projects are going into construction helps us understand we have to hold this next fiscal year, which is what we're doing in fiscal year 26, which is why I've spent a few of the slides kind of sharing with you the carry forward projects. We've adopted the funds. We're now moving into construction with many of the traffic calming projects that you approved a couple months ago. And so we're slowing down on how much we bleed into the operation next year. This slide just simply takes the same information, and instead of dicing it by the fund source, it's showing it to you by the type of project. So where your funds are allocated by landscaping, restriping, resurfacing, building improvements, non-building improvements, vehicle equipment. So this next slide just simply takes the same data and it stratifies it and shows it to you from a different viewpoint. So now the fun part. I was talking fast to get to this point. These are the major projects that we're walking into that we have on our radar. Washington Park. From a change in risk management perspective, wanted to make sure that we touched on the major projects. There's a lot more, obviously, but these are the ones that may or may not have some changes that we want to make sure that we share with you. One of the things is that we are currently in procurement, and so which is a pretty good win. We're looking to go into construction no later than this December, where we have completed the final pass for permit. The last mark or notation was for a mass notification system, which we've kind of gone through those hoops. So we expect to get permit in hand not too long from now. FERDAP. Was a grant that was awarded in 2022. Unfortunately, that grant is a 2-year grant. So what that means is we've had to reapply for that. So the $200,000 that we thought we were getting from that grant is on hold until we receive a response for the application. But on another note, on the good news, just this past week, we received notification of award for a CDBG, which is a community development block grant for $460,000, which puts us in an even better financial position for funding Washington Park. So we will keep you posted on what happens with FERDAP if we are awarded. For HUD,
Hold on, Curly.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to ask about, now that we have these grants, how does that affect the bond? Because I believe the bond, we have 25, is that 25 or is it 30?
It's 25.
25?
Or is it? I'll let you answer.
Public Works Director is correct. It's $24.5 million.
So we have a bond for $24.5 million. And when we add these grants in there, well, is the bond money, can it be used for something else or?
No, for Washington Park.
No,
Absolute-
That's what I'm trying to get to. So it could only be used for Washington Park. Obviously, the grants also can't be used in anything else. So we're adding grants on top of the $24.5 million. So right now, we added another $4.7 million to the $24.5 million.
Correct.
So if we go back to the slide, this slide here, I
Excuse me.
actually provided a breakdown for you for Phase 2, Washington Park, and what percent of the general obligation grant will be absorbed.
And couldn't we pay down that bond if we needed to take less? We don't have to take the whole, is that correct?
We issued the entire bond, Commissioner Smith. That's what we now have.
Yes, but if there was a penalty, but we could not take the whole bond. I thought that's what I understood. That's what Jay's shaking his head, yes, I don't know.
Can we? I don't know what the rules of that is.
The bond has a payment schedule. That's what we signed off. That's what we issued. That's what we received. If there is any plan on accelerating the payment, or et cetera, that has to come back to the commission and identifying the source fund that's going to pay that debt. Everything is possible policy-wise, but for now, we issued the bond, I believe in December, and it was for the totality of the project, I think, and that's the $24 million we have.
So that's what I was thinking was like if we have 24.5 million and we take 4.7 million that we got as grants to dump it into the balance of the bond, right? That's what Commissioner Smith is communicating. Like, how would that work? Does that is that possible?
I will be cautious to give you a definitive answer that we can use the grant to pay the bond, because the grant as well is an agreement. You submitted an agreement to an agency and you told them, I'm going to use X, Y, and Z for this funding source. And we have, most of these grants are also reimbursables. So you upfront your general fund or the source funds you have, and then you submit the document and they reimburse you. So you have to stay in line with their agreement. That's the primary answer I will say.
Because if that's the case, then, Mr. Manager, I'd like our grant team to focus on something that we don't have money for, versus like, we have 24.5 million for the bond for Washington Park, and we continue to add more money to Washington Park. Not that I don't want to have them have the most wonderful community center, but I think there's other parks and other community centers that we can also use the money for if we were to get a grant.
I will only add, Commissioner Sue, is that these grants takes time, or probably the timing also. Perhaps we submitted these applications earlier than we engaged on the bond, and we didn't know if you're going to get accepted or not. So I think the grant also has time, so we have to go back and see when we applied, and et cetera.
Noted.
Also,
I hear what you're saying, so I understand.
we also have to look at the terms of the bond, because it's not that you're taking grant money and substituting it for the work, it's that you needed less money that you were going to borrow. And if that's the case and you needed less money, even if there's a penalty, it may be far less if we take, say we didn't need the 25,000, we only needed 25 million, we only needed 20,200,000. I mean, you have to look at the terms of the bond.
I have an add-on to that. So how much is the total project for Washington Park?
The total project is 27 million right here. 27,933,683. The pump station in Force Main is 7,442,952. That portion also came out of the general obligation bond. The building construction portion of the project is 20,490,730. So the grants themselves is 4.7. There was a general fund 500K portion that was adopted in fiscal year 25. So the out of the general obligation grant would be the 15,280,000.
So I was going to say that, with construction, I'm sure there's compounding costs. material, the cost of labor throughout the span. So anything that we get in addition, will more than likely be used in the construction because of how labor costs and material costs. So potentially.
Correct. And when you
I
start
agree with
construction,
that,
sometimes
right?
you find somewhere about another 10% impact of stuff that you didn't discover or didn't know you were going to hit. So you end up using that money. Correct.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. I think I saw somewhere there was a landscaping on 163rd. Is that right?
The CRA slide.
Yes, yes. So is CRA paying for that?
So on the CRA slide, that's all the funds that they have committed to.
Now, my
go back
question is, that's a state road, right? So CRA is county and city money, and now we're going to go use that money to fix a state road?
So the money is for Hanford Boulevard. It's for the CRA boundaries. It's for the CRA boundaries, and it is part of the centennial to actually improve on 163rd. So yes, there is a small section of there that overlaps into the CRA boundary, which is why they're committing to helping to fund that.
So
And we do
we're
have to
doing the
work with
small section of the 163rd for $1 million?
No, this includes a much larger scope. So if you kind of look at 163rd Street redesign, we're talking about bike paths, street safety, traffic congestion, lighting on half. It's a much bigger scope. It's in preparation for Centennial.
Okay, while you search, we have Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. I just asked Commissioner why you were presenting the CRA. And when you presented it a few pages back, I didn't understand it, because if you have questions about the CRA, which Commissioner Sue just asked, the CRA is not here. But we had that discussion at the CRA meeting. We had that very discussion. That's a state road, and it was done within the last 10 years to re-landscape it when we need so much. But again, that's CRA, and you're the one presenting. So that whole thing...
We
That
can,
whole thing-
we can just remove that slide from your presentation.
Well, here's what I also wanted to add to the CRA. We execute on the behalf of the CRA. So the CRA doesn't have a public works division. So we're still that execution arm that partners with them.
No question, but at the same time, that when you go over the budget with it and you'd like to make a change, you really need Mr. Old here to give us, and even the attorney maybe, to give us the guidelines of what you can do and what you can. Of course, we're the governing body no matter what. But, I mean, we had a big discussion on that at the time. So, thank you.
Thank you. You want to continue? Madam Director?
So what you're looking at there is just the procurement work breakdown structure in terms of estimation as to when contract qualifications will occur, pre-bidding, when we anticipate on doing a recommendation to the city manager, and coming to commission. So we're looking to come to commission sometime around October for Washington Park to award. This is just for your information. What this slide kind of helps you see is the projects that are actively in design that you approved during the last reso for Chen Moore task order for designing those traffic calming projects. It included roundabouts, raised intersections, speed humps, portfolio of different projects. So we provided those scopes for you, and we also what you'll see is when that goes into construction. So the construction line item itself is what we're bringing into fiscal year 26. Traditionally, projects have waited about a year because we can't go into constructions without the funds. And so we're doing forward planning, knowing that these projects now will end design mid-year in March. And we don't want to lose momentum on them. So we want to just go ahead and go straight into construction. That's really what this slide helps you see. Speed humps, our favorite topic. We've had a growing number of requests from our residents for speed humps. Speed humps, we have an interlocal agreement with the county. There's no way around it. For permanent speed humps, one, temporary speed humps is a complete liability on the city. For permanent speed humps, we have to have signed and sealed drawings. And so what we're doing is we're not only tracking where we put the temporary speed humps, given that we have consent forms from the residents, but we also need to follow up on that to put permanent speed humps. That's what this slide is. And so the budget has a line item in there for specifically that, which is ensuring that we go for sign and seal drawings and move from a temporary to a permanent. That's basically what this is. Okay.
Did you have any highlights on design? I know that that was a big point of contention as it relates to the types that the county adds and approves, and us being able to amend those designs. Is that what?
We can, yes. So we actively right now have identified a smaller speed hump that's somewhere around 3.5 feet. That one was targeted specifically for Eastern Shores. It's just the way the homes are on the street. It makes it a little bit more difficult to put 10-foot speed humps. And so we have been in communication with the county, and we just have to modify our interlocal agreement to include those schematics. We do have AMI creating those schematics for us as we speak, and we've already ordered the 3.5 foot. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, we've mobilized on those, yeah.
The ones for Highland Village, they're not on here?
Well, these are the recent ones that we've installed.
Recent ones.
Yeah, these are the recent ones that are temporary that we've installed.
But we're going
Yeah.
to be installing in Highland Village.
Highland Village has made some requests, yeah, as well as Eastern Drive, East Drive, yeah. So we have a long list.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, these are the ones that we've actually installed, have moved into study, and we put them in the budget to consider for permanent. That's
All
what
right.
these are, yeah. Yeah, the list is much longer than this. Oh, boy.
I have a
I
question.
don't know how to get back.
Vice Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you for recognizing me. Your restriping and resurfing, does that also include our signage as you come into the city that's faded? Would that also be under this heading?
No.
Whose heading is that, and where would the funds come? Could it come out of your department?
You have a section in there called wayfinding. That's what we called it. CRA committed to adding another 100, is it 100,000? 125? Yeah. So we had a meeting with them last week. They committed to adding another 125.
So that leads me into my question about the striping, et cetera. When do you plan the completion to be done?
Well, we haven't even started. We
But
just-
Okay,
We'd like to get started.
we would like it to be
money.
beautiful for the centennial.
Hey, yes.
So no matter if you
Agreed.
start now or if you start 6 months from now, I just want to know that the date.
So
Well,
right now, and in all honesty, it's the funding. It's the funding that's stopping us from moving forward. We just received the assessments and we wanted to give you this heat map because we thought it was pretty cool to just kind of show the heat map. Anybody who knows the city knows, you can kind of outline that. Myself, your engineering construction manager, we all went out on the field to obviously validate all of this. We took pictures and we observed. The only one, obviously, Eastern Shores is not an issue anymore because of the recent projects. But we do have some concern there with Sunray,
Always the money.
Ulita, City Center. So the 4 that we've highlighted there are the ones that is in the budget, fiscal year 26, and we're asking you to consider for us to move forward with the restriping and resurfacing for those areas.
And to make sure it's done, make sure it's completed for the centennial.
Yeah, before Centennial, absolutely. All right, these 2 projects have been waiting to get done for quite some time. We're getting increased complaints from residents. This has been a rough hurricane season. We haven't been hit with a hurricane, but a lot of rain. So
No, to your point, this has been a pretty dry summer. We haven't had a lot of rain, but when we've had rain, we've had buckets. So we've had a lot of rain in a short period of time, which leads to, we call it flash flooding.
Right.
yeah, so we are asking to move forward with Northeast 10th Avenue and Highland Village Phase 1. the design is complete. It's just really just waiting for funding. It's $300K for Northeast 10th Avenue for fiscal year '26, and then we're going to come back in again the following year, ask for $550K. And then for Highland Village, it's $650K. Total new drainage system in Northeast 10th Avenue.
And what are you
underwater.
doing in Highland Village?
Highland Village is backflow preventers, piping to take it out to the outfall. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's pretty much it. The rest is just accomplishments. We got a lot of them. You can read those on your own time, but they've done some amazing jobs, and these are some pictures of actual work that they've done, and so I wanted to make sure I highlight that.
To the manager, Mr. Manager, the gas company that came through Sky Lake, okay, and ruined all the streets and made them look like a checkerboard, and still there's on Northeast 20th Court and 191st, they paved over a drainage. They didn't pave, I'm sorry, they sodded over a drainage. So it's covered right now on that site. But that wasn't it. What are we doing for our residents? Are we going to repave it, or what's happening?
So we had this conversation prior. I know I spoke with the DCM that I know your thoughts on it, that we were going to look into getting proposal into the restriping and then going to the gas company and making sure or demanding that they fix the streets, repave the entire area. So we're working towards that.
Well, what I'm saying is that in the budget, I don't see it. And it looks like it's going to come down on us to do it. And,
We'll make
and have to
an
recoup the money
adjustment
from them.
Right. I see what you're saying. We'll make an adjustment. That way it'd be more like try to get a reimbursement, but we'll make sure that we have the money to make sure that we can actually accomplish it.
Right, and I've asked the attorney to draw something up that we don't get in that situation again, that they make us 100% whole when they come out and, don't leave our community. And all the swales look a mess too, because they put dead sod down. Anybody else? Lynn? Then Phyllis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh, Mr. Vice Mayor. You guys are doing the wayfinding signs, right?
Yeah, we're working with the city manager's office communication. They're taking the lead on the design for that.
Was it
for
budgeted?
branding,
Because I
branding
haven't.
is important, right, as we go
I
into the
didn't see.
centennial.
So currently, if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me, and I wish Adam was here since we're having this conversation, but there's currently money this fiscal year in the
CRA.
in the CRA's budget to start the process. So we're working out the design, and we'll be moving forward expeditiously
Well, I
with
mean,
with the funding that we currently have.
I have most of my colleagues here. I'd like us to be on a consensus that we get this done maybe midsummer next year. All the wayfinding signs are updated with the new designs and, all installed and getting ready for our centennial. What do you guys say?
That's yeah. I mean, I'm sure everyone. I don't want to speak for the
very
dais.
good
I'm sure everybody agrees, but that's
Thank you.
that's the plan. Yeah, that's what we're
No, so
shooting
just to make
Yes.
my request more solid with you guys,
Okay.
I have my colleagues here,
Well,
if we could all make that request, and then also however you're going to find the money, whether it's going to be part of it that's in the CRA area, the CRA pays for it, and then whatever that we need to budget, that needs to be budgeted. I think this doesn't happen every year, obviously, because some of them are still from I don't remember when, they're pretty old. So, I mean, if we can get those updated, cleaned, and brushed up, and our logo and all that, that would just really refresh the city
Absolutely.
a whole lot. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
I know how important this department is, and I know the efficiency of the department leads into the beautification of the city. But again, hiring more people, because it's not a salary. The salary's $65,000, the salary's $35,000. When you add up the health insurance, when you add up the
The benefit.
pensions and all the benefits, so we're trying so hard not to be in deficit. We're trying so hard to improve. And it's just, I haven't seen a department come up that says they don't need help. I mean, I'm just looking at this and saying, what are we doing? How many more employees? And our employees are our gold. This isn't against employees. This is against budget. This has nothing to do, it has to do with money.
Always does.
I mean, that's what it always comes down to is the money. But where are we getting this money to add another person to every department? It's just a question we really have to sit back and start to analyze at this budget season, where it's not necessary, where it can be. We want to have an economic development department. The request was for $1 million. Some think it's not important. I've had phone calls, and others think it's about time. The Economic Development Department, you understand, to bring professionals in, they came from a convention today that is amazing. And you make contacts and you bring in more businesses that'll bring in more revenue. And the residents get the service of the new business locally. They don't have to travel. But we don't have to take $1 million new. We could move some of the employees into the economic department without making a deeper hole in the debt. And it has nothing to do with your department. It
Well,
just has to do
Commissioner,
with,
that's our direction to the manager who has to make this thing work.
well, you can make it work in a lot of ways. I've been here too many budgets to see how we could play that game. I mean, we know how we can make it work. We rob Peter to pay Paul, and then we move money from Jane to give back to Paul. I know exactly. But really and truly, I'm sincere about the fact that it's not your department. It's the last meeting, the last slide for the budget. I feel we have to focus on what are we doing. If the numbers are accurate, the people are telling me we have almost 500 employees, even counting the part-time over. What happened? And here's the big point. All the additional employees with all the new electronic touch a button, which I had asked the last department, did that save you anything? Not only do you have the electronics, but the city isn't better. So what are we doing? That's my budget speech, my budget speech. That's something that has to really be looked at. Thank you for the time.
Commissioner John.
Thank you so much. I wanted to thank you for the presentation. I'm looking at the total CIP. It's like, is it 31 million plus, right? Is that what it is? The grand total? 33?
For
everything all together, it's like 33, right? That general fund?
Yeah, you're carrying forward 31 and then you're bringing in 16. So if you actually go to the summary slide that I presented, where's the summary slide? You're closer to, I think, 40, right? This slide, the overview, it gives you last year and this year and what you're carrying forward into 26.
So what's the 26 carryover?
There, thank you.
Yeah, you're carrying into 26, 31,865,790, but be mindful that Washington Park is in there.
And the total portfolio is the 48 million, right?
Yeah, so yeah, your total portfolio, when you include what you're carrying into it, is 48.7. That's the part people miss, is the carry it forward. There's still work that is continuing as you bring in work, so you really have to be mindful of the total portfolio of what's incoming and what you're still working on.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking is because 48 million for, I don't know how many employees you have handling CIP, the question is, where do you start? How do you do that? Because there's so many things here that go on. So I want to commend you for filling in the gaps that are there. And that's a lot of money to be able to actually expand into actual projects.
Yeah.
So, when we look at that much money and we're saying, how do we actually get to the bottom line of, so the question that I had was about the theater design. It's in the budget, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the design itself. Nothing about
That line
the,
item is just for the design, it will,
Just-
Andy.
That's, yeah, strictly designed to modernize the theater.
okay, so that doesn't really give away to, so is that in like, is that a 5-year plan or is it just?
It's part of the 5-year CIP plan. So you would see the design, and then a couple years later, into construction. Obviously depending on funds, and obviously things shift, but that's it's part of the 5-year CIP leading to the 20-year CIP.
Okay. So I think that's what I wanted to kind of gauge, right? When you have a project that's designed, but then nothing is there for construction, there should be conversations for bond, for this different, if we're going to invest $250,000 into the theater, the greater conversation is what are we doing once we get the design, right? And I think those are, because you talked about master plan and having a really, looking at the parks plan and really having that comprehensive look.
Yeah, and forward planning, yes.
But then you give us part of the vision and not necessarily a 5-year outlook. So that would be something that I would want to see, because I think the theater is an asset that can really generate more funds for us if it's properly upgraded. In addition to the positions that you hope to fill within the next couple of weeks or months, can we also get a timeline of the low-hanging fruit? So I say this because of the CRA conversation with the greenery. We have a partnership with FDOT, so we have part that we're also responsible for. They're not fully responsible for everything, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so we kind of work, we work with them and coordinate and see if we can get some synergies with some of the projects that they already have going on. Yeah.
Okay, so we still have some sort of responsibility there. And I also wanted to kind of harp in on the fact that I've said this to Adam before, it looks terrible. It's still a gateway into North Miami Beach if you're coming on that side. So we can cut this amount down in our CRA meetings, but it's still something that is part of the conversation of how we look. I'm happy to see the ARPA snapshot that you provided. I wanted to find out about Corona Del Mar. Is that morely for water?
Water, yeah.
Okay, so that brings me to another point. With the deficit in the positions that you have, how can we fully expect the water division to be whole? So we have all of the parks, everything that you handle. I want to hear from the administration, what is the true way for us to actually get things done? Because you have a whole water CIP, you have the city CIP, and we're seeing things happen, throughout the city, but we have to get progressive. So I want to put that out there and kind of hear from the management on what's the actual strategy for us to be progressive, because the water plant is an asset, the theater is an asset, but we're piecemealing these assets. So I don't know if there's a plan to bifurcate this department to see if we can actually have something that's really progressive and moving these projects forward at a more expeditious pace.
Thank you for that, Commissioner. I just want you to know I don't know if you're talking about the water, the utility water. They have their team, and they're moving forward. They presented their CIP at the last workshop. So they're moving forward. What we see today is obviously excluding.
Is it an overlap or is it?
No, there's no overlap. Separate. So water.
The water CIP is totally separate from.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So what Carlene is doing is citywide, except the water sewer.
So I guess
utility.
the question is why was it in the presentation? I may be missing something. I'm not sure.
Was it in the presentation?
I'm seeing it as a funding source.
Yeah, you see it as a funding source for facilities projects. So facilities, our ops manager works in water and sewer facilities. So sustainability projects fall underneath public works, right? And so the fund source is actually water enterprise. That's why you see those projects in there.
So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. We still have overlap in some ways because you still have some functions that are working together, right? Is that?
No. We oversee all things sustainability, such as roofs, such as infrastructure. So that's all public works. It's funded in many different. So some are grants, obviously. Some are general fund. Some water pays. Some are building. Like for instance, PSA reconfiguration. We're overseeing the project, but they're funding it. And so that's what you're saying is we're showing you where all your different fund sources are and how your projects group into those fund sources.
I would just have a one-on-one on that because I feel
You,
like
you got it, yeah.
be-
I mean, the underwater piping, the fixing, the meters, and
Yeah.
all of that, that is not public works. That's fully water, but
Right.
we'll be happy to sit down and go over that with you.
all right, thank you. That's all I had.
Absolutely.
You good? Mr. Manager, I would like you to task all your directors to drive down our city streets and drive slowly and look at what our city looks like. We're getting complaints from the residents, we're getting complaints from a lot of people that we're not taking care of things. And we're at a budget time when if we need more beautification people or we need somebody, let us know and let's do it because we're suffering, the community is suffering. And I'm talking if you just go down 19th, if you go down 164th, if you go down 163rd, you go into Eastern Shore, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like it did. And a perfect example is the Eastern Shores, you did that big water project. And it messed up the whole community for however long. But when we planted trees, whatever the job order was, whoever paid for it, put little dinky trees that they took down royal palm trees that were magnificent and put these little, their intersection now, their medians are horrible. And that's our biggest tax base in the city. How could we, do that and then we don't correct it? That's our job. But I think it's because everybody doesn't see it. If you don't live in Eastern Shores, you don't see it. If you don't drive in Skylake, you don't see the checkerboard that they did there. You don't see these things unless you live there and you're there every day. And that's what I want everybody to please get in your cars and look. Don't go speeding to wherever you're going. Just take your time, look around and see, and you'll see what we see and the complaints that we're getting and why you hear from commissioners, every one of us, what are you doing? What are we doing with the budget? And I think that's the frustration is. Yes, we know we have a budget. Yes, we know you have X amount of employees that have to be paid, but are we getting a benefit? And all my employees here, I'm not saying you're not great, we don't love you, that you're not doing a great job. I'm saying we're missing the boat somewhere. The window dressing is wrong right now, and we need to correct the window dressing. And that's what invites people to our community. When they see a beautiful 19th Avenue, guess what? They want to come and be on 19th Avenue. But if they see trees not taken care of, if they see sidewalks broken, if they see all this kind of stuff, they don't want to. And that's just my frustration. So please, we need to address it.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Because I don't want to keep, you have another question for Carlene?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay.
Last question, then we'll adjourn. And
Well,
everybody
last
can go home.
person, not last question. Okay, so first of all, I remember in, you want to speak?
No, he's fine. He's fine.
Oh, okay. So fiscal year 24-25, I don't remember us having a CIP fund, did we?
Fund 399 was not established until last year, I believe. So you did not have it dedicated. You had a division, you had a CIP division.
Right.
But you did not have a dedicated fund for CIP.
Okay, so what are we carrying over exactly? So
Everything that's in Fund 399. And so you adopted a resolution. Was it last year the resolution was adopted? And that resolution said
funds allocated to a specific CIP project were reserved for that project, and it rolls over year until we come to commission and you guys change your mind in terms of where you want to reallocate that fund. And so that's what you see happening here. So there were some projects that you adopted the full scope to what Commissioner Jean mentioned earlier, which means for that project, you adopted the design, the study, the design, and the construction. And so those funds are rolling forward. And there were other projects that at the time that we proposed those projects, we did not have a design in hand, so no real good estimate for the construction. And so those are the ones that we're entering right now, knowing that we're going to be done in March, and we're asking, we would like to move forward into construction immediately afterwards so that we don't lose momentum on those projects.
So if I'm looking at this correctly, that means like last year or in fiscal year 24-25, only $600,000 worth of things were complete in the Public Works Department.
No, you actually had more projects that were completed. Which side are you looking at?
I wrote it down, so after I was listening to your speaking.
Do you have that answer? Can you just tell her?
No, I can, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
just.
Well, I mean, you can just tell me what was completed last year in terms of like the budget that was
The
allocated
accomplishment slide has all the projects that were completed.
Yeah, so that's good.
And then
So,
I will
mean,
send the numbers over to CM.
Okay, so the budget in 24-25, and then like of that, what was completed and what was not, because I remember the former manager actually admitted to me that, not when Carlene was in charge, but, you know, that only 12% of Public Works items were complete.
Oh, I can believe that. Yeah, 24, I don't believe not much progress. You didn't even have a portfolio of projects, very unorganized. That's the whole reason why we built the portfolio and integrated the Smartsheet application. You have now schedules, you have a plan. You didn't have.
No, that's wonderful.
So,
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we organized things during that year.
Tell me about it. Okay, so then, and I believe that, so when you, I'm going back to Washington Park one more time, $27 million, $24.5 million bond. In the 27, was that not already including the contingency fund?
There is 1.6 million contingency in the building phase 2.
Okay, so then that means that all the grants that we're getting for the 4.7 million, not all of those would actually be necessary for, well, that's almost like 5%. Usually contingency is about 10 to 15.
So piggybacking off of what Deputy City Manager say, we want to be cautious because the grants have specific purposes.
Yes, exactly.
And we have to meet those purposes. We can't just say we're going to pay off a general
so I
obligation bond.
understand. And like,
But you could use the general obligation bond for a different reason, like the city manager mentioned. So they'll have to look into the conditions of that bond.
So IDCM was saying that, you know, the grants take a while to come back to us, right? Meaning like we have to apply, it takes a while, you know, they review, et cetera. I got that. So I just want to focus your energy on something else because we definitely need more improvements in other areas of the city. And we can like put a pause on all the grants that would go to Washington Park. We have sufficient funds for it. Okay. Yeah, that's all I have for now. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Wayfinding signs. Who is designing that? Are we going to redesign everything, or is it just the same
What
one?
we're currently doing is we're doing an assessment through Public Works. They're identifying all of the signs, neighborhood, and wayfinding, which tells you which direction you want to go for the theater, et cetera. Once we get all that information, we'll be reaching out to firms to present ideas that would be proposed to you all.
Okay. All right. So I guess, do we have an organizer for the events of our centennial?
That'll be something that comes before you all, depending on the event. There's some
9th?
things that'll be internally handled, some activations within events that we currently have through different departments, but the larger scale things would come before you as a proposal and based on a vendor that would be bidding.
Okay.
Let me interject in that all things centennial we should see, right? I don't think that happened yet.
Yes, that's the intention.
Well, that's the intention, but that hasn't been actualized. So I know the timeline was sent to us, logos were sent. We haven't gotten anything final per se on what the consensus was. And I think when you say it's piecemeal, that's understood. But I think that the commission needs to be more engaged in that conversation, and seemingly we're having to pull teeth. So I just wanted to put that on the record as well. I know this is a workshop, but it could be piecemeal internally, but we should still be very much briefed and aware of the
Absolutely.
process.
So I'll have an update through communications for you all by next week, and that way we can have an elaborate conversation about the process.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.